Hello everyone, this is Joe, Four Soft Corners here, and I'm finally getting my national recap video out. Honestly, just it was such a great experience and so much fun, but I was just physically exhausted when I came back, and then going back to work and everything. I honestly just was basically too tired to just sit down and make the video, so that's why it's happening now. But I definitely wanted to get to this and show off what I picked up. So we'll start doing that in a while. So I went in with kind of a strategy. I wanted to try and see as much of the tables and stuff as I could before I really started picking anything big up. But as I was going, I wanted to concentrate on my 53 top set. So I went in, I definitely wanted to pick up one big card to kind of remember the show from, remember my first national with. So going in, every vintage table I was looking at, I was zeroing in, I kind of wanted to, I was looking maybe around the $500 price range to get that one big card. So I had a Koufax rookie in mind, possibly the Satchel Paige from 53 tops, Jackie Robinson from 53 tops. So those cards was what I was zeroing in on, and any table I'd look at, I was looking at those. But then from the start was mainly concentrating on the 53 top set, which we'll start showing off here. These, I'll give prices when I can on some of the bigger stuff, but these as a whole, most of the commons, just from the start, they're going to go in order numerically. Most of these I paid anywhere from like $2.50 to $7, depending on condition and the player. But most of them I bought in some sort of, there's only one, I think I bought one at a time. And for the whole show, there's only one card I paid full sticker on, so I'll show that when I get to it. But otherwise, all these, like I said, most of these commons range from about $2.50 to $7, but there was some percentage off because I bought them in lots and then made offers on everything when I paid for them then. So yeah, my initial plan, I was just going table by table, like row by row, table by table, looking for any of those bigger cards. And also just looking in general. The first night, so me and my buddy Bryn, Bulldog Cards here on YouTube, got into town around 10 or 10:30 or so, and got settled at the hotel, got checked in and everything. We stayed at the Tropicana, and then made our way over and sat in the VIP lounge once we got our VIP badges and everything, and just talked with some people there. But had a little bit of time to sit before the show there, and then got in. I think the line, excuse me, the autograph line for, I think mainly Ron Jaworski, was really starting to back up in there. So they opened the show floor a little early, about 3:20, let everybody with the VIP badges in. So from then to about 8 o'clock, like I said, I was trying to go row by row and see as much as I could. That first night, I only made it, I call the front, right past the like the breaker pavilion there. From there, I think I made it just to the edge of the blue carpet, like where the corporate stuff started, and so that's all I got to in 4.5 hours the first night. Like I said, I was trying to take my time and not buy too much right off the bat. Here's a nicer name, the Dom DiMaggio. I think this one was stickered at 12. This is a card I usually don't see anywhere for less than around $25 or so. It's in pretty good condition overall. But yeah, so that first night, like I said, was trying not to buy anything big, but I still, anytime I saw any of these cards that I thought were good values, I would look through the binders or boxes. And there was one dealer, I know the booth number was 725, and I keep forgetting what their name was, but that's where most of this came from, and some of the bigger pickups I'll show then from 53 Tops. I mean, overall, that first, I was mainly just concentrating on vintage and kind of going by anything that had more modern or a lot of autographs. And then, well, as I keep showing, as I go to some of the next pickups, then Thursday, I kind of shifted my focus. And I mean, I had fun the whole time, but that's when I was really starting to, once I shifted my focus a little bit and was open to a little bit more possibilities, is when I really started to have a lot more fun with it. So I guess I'll start talking about that. Yeah, most of these pickups I said were from Wednesday night. Thursday then is when I tried to pick up where I left off as far as I made it. Like I said, I made it to about the front of the blue carpet. So I just kept looking at the tables I hadn't got to then the first night. So, and I still just was focused on mainly the same thing. I was just looking for 53 Tops. There was a couple cards from other vintage sets which I would like to pick more up from, but I definitely wanted to, I don't see many of these at any shows or anything like that. So there's a lot of stuff from the mid to later 50s or 60s. Then there were some good deals on stuff, but I ultimately just passed up on them because I was mainly focused on this just because I don't see them often. So, and with that one, we're starting the high numbers here then. So more of these were, some of these were actually as low as $6, and then maybe 10 or 12 or so for a lot of the commons. But I actually got to pick up a large number of high numbers. And so once I came home, then I was able to tally everything up, and I think it was roughly around 43 cards for this set I picked up at the show. In total, that brings me to 199, and there's 274 in the set. So I'm definitely getting there. And as you'll see, then I actually was able to cross some ones off the list that I wasn't exactly sure I'd be able to, but I did. So yeah, Thursday just started off with the same plan, was focusing in on the 53 Tops, and like I said, I was definitely having fun with it, but it was, I mean, I was looking at a lot of the same stuff over and over, and once I was starting to cross off a lot, which was great, but then I was seeing a lot of what people had was stuff I had already and not finding a whole lot of new stuff. So that's when I kind of shifted up a little bit, and I'll finish going through the 53 Tops before I really go on to what my next move there was then. But all right, so now we get into some of the Hall of Famers and bigger cards. This one I know was stickered at 12. Definitely beat up, but I mean, again, this is a card I usually don't see for less than $50, so I was happy to, probably ended up about $10 or so, so I was happy to pick up the Pee Wee Reese for that. This one also was stickered at 12, and this one I bought on its own. I know I paid $10 for this. So, I mean, a little bit of paper loss there on the hat. But otherwise, the front looks great. It's just the back looks like that. But, again, one that I normally don't see very cheap at all, so I'll take that for $10. This one I know is labeled at 45. This is the last card in the set and a rookie, so that's why the bowling here, that's why that one goes for so much. But I was definitely happy to pick that one up. Another Hall of Fame Ralph Kiner here. This one I know was at 33, I believe. Like I said, all these roughly probably at about 10% or so off of doing package deals and stuff. This one I think was also labeled at 33. Whitey Ford. This is one I just love the look of this card. And is actually, I mean, most of the rookies in this set aren't Hall of Famers. Actually, I don't think there's any Hall of Famers, but a lot of them are high numbers. So this I think had 65 on it, so probably got this for around 55 to 60, but just him in the line up there and the colors and everything. This is one of my favorite cards from the set, and I definitely was looking to pick this one up and was happy when I saw it. And the Bob Feller here, I believe, was stickered at 48. And the same seller had two. The other one had he had it labeled on that it was recolored. You could see down in somebody took a red marker to the corner there. But then there was this one, and in this condition, I think that was a great price for it. So I have one more 53 Topps card then, which we'll get to later, because that was one of the bigger pickups and one I definitely didn't think I'd end up with. But so yeah, Thursday when I started shifting focus a little bit, like I said, I knew I'd picked up a lot for 53 Topps. And I thought, I'm going to start looking at some different, think outside the box a little bit. So I believe my next pickup then, going into the show, I wanted a Stan Musial autograph. I'll put this back up while we're talking. This is always my backdrop normally. But I wanted a Stan Musial autograph. I know they're not usually not huge price tags on them, so I knew I'd probably easily be able to find one. So I was walking around, and this is when I kind of had my mind open to other things. I was looking at more modern cases and stuff with autographs, and so I came to a booth, and there was one of the Stan Musial autographs from his 2015 Leaf set, which, if anybody knows the set, they were blaster boxes. I think they retailed around $30. The set was just all base cards of Stan Musial, and then every box had a cut or an autograph sticker card in, and most of the stickers were, he signed a ton in his very late stages of life, and if anybody's seen them before, a lot of them are way off the sticker, and it's not a very nice autograph. So there was one of those. There were two cards that was on top, and that was labeled for I think $30 or $40. So I asked the person at the booth if I could see, because I didn't know what was underneath. So the card underneath, and I wish I had the card to show. I'll maybe try, and I'm never really tried to edit anything, so I have the picture. I'll try and maybe edit in at the end of the video so you can see what the card was. But it's from the 99 Upper Deck Century Legends Iconic Signatures, I think the name of the set is, and I know it's a very popular set, and especially the gold parallels of it, which are numbered to 100. At the time, I did not necessarily know the gold parallels that I didn't know if the numbering out of 100 was something from a buyback or if it was from the original set. So anyway, that card was underneath the Stan Musial of that. It was a beautiful card, and it was labeled at $55, and I immediately knew I was getting that. And in my head I was thinking, that seems very low for something numbered out of 100, and I'm pretty sure that's an iconic set. So I think I might have got something really good here. So anyway, I actually got it for $50, and I just bought that and kept going on. And so that was my next purchase. We'll get back to that later in the story. So then after that, I think this was my next purchase, and this was the first vintage, not 53 Topps card. Well, yes, the first one I got. This is the only card I paid sticker for. I mean, it is a little bit wavy, but I normally don't see this card for less than like $40, and I think I was just waiting to go down a row or something, and at the table that was on the corner, I just happened to look down and saw this, and it was $20, and I just pulled a $20 bill out and said, here, I'll grab that mantle. So this is a subset I love from the 59 Topps set. So I think I only need, there's 10 of these. I think I only need the Hank Aaron now yet, which I wish I would have looked for down there, but I really didn't think about it. Excuse me. So, and after that, I'd seen this card I think twice already. That I saw it, and then I went back and looked at it again, and then I think I went back and looked at it a third time, and by that point I figured this is definitely not something that was on my radar at all, or something I'd collect in any way, but I just thought it was neat. So I haven't showed off in any videos yet, but I started collecting a little bit of like non-sport stuff. I picked up the 94 Flair Marvel set at a local show. I picked up some, I'm a huge fan of the Harry Potter film franchise, so I picked up some cards from that. Just something out of the box that's neat to collect. And so this is still technically sport, but I started, once I shifted gears, I was looking at a lot more of that stuff, and like I said, I kept coming back to look at this card. And not a huge wrestling fan. I enjoyed wrestling in the late 90s, and so I saw this was labeled for $125, and I had a few cards that I was trying to trade, a few slabs that I got back from my last PSA review or PSA submission, and then just a few raw cards from some Prism Football I'd found. So I had a Davis Mills card, the Red Ice Parallel. So this was stickered at $125. I'd asked the guy earlier if he was interested. He wasn't interested in anything slabbed, and I showed him the Mills, and he seemed like he was kind of interested, but said he was mainly focusing on autos. But when I went back a third time and looked at this, I said, I know you said you weren't really interested in Mills besides the autos, but would you do this and $100 for this card? And he immediately just shook my hand. And so wheeling and dealing and doing some trades like that, was trades in cash for that, was kind of fun. And like I said, just a very quirky auto, if you can see there. But I don't know for sure if I'll hang on to this. Like I said, I kept looking at it, and by that point I thought, well, I might as well just buy it, because I'm going to regret it if this is the third time I came back to look at it. So so just a fun card. Like I said, we'll see, maybe I'll set it up to sell at a show, but for now I'll hang on to it. But so then my next pickup, like I said, once I shifted gears, I was having a lot more fun with it. I was looking at some different stuff, and some of the tables that had a lot of stuff from like the 90s, which is the era when I started collecting. 38 now, so I think I started around like 91, 92, and I mean, most of my childhood was just buying whatever the cheapest packs were. So anything that was rarer from the 90s I never really got to see when I was a kid, or definitely buy, and never really saw much of it even. So I briefly, over the last year or two, I've watched a lot of videos. I want to give a shout out here to Bill, the Hall of Fame collector, which in this video I'm mainly just going to focus on the pickups because I'm already at 21 minutes here and I didn't get to the big stuff yet. So in another video I'll go through more of my thoughts on the show and some shout outs and stuff. But so at the YouTube meetup on Thursday night, I love Bill's channel. I love the variety of things he collects. I love seeing all the very rare 90s cards he collects, and so that's I saw him there and I definitely wanted to meet him. I recently started commenting more on his videos and stuff like that, so he knew my name. So we'll show this first. So I started looking around. I'll explain this first and then get more into Bill, because then that pretty much finishes, or pretty much dictates the rest of the way my national went. But so I was at a table that had a bunch of 90s cards, and I saw it was definitely a Cal Ripken Jr., and I can't remember the other two names. There were three of these cards. This is the 99 Flair Ultra Diamond Producers. And so I saw those and I thought, man, those are really great looking cards. I know they're not very rare. I believe when I talked to him, then Bill said I think they were 1 out of 288 packs. So I mean, we're not easy pulls, but not numbered or anything like that. But I thought, man, those are great looking cards, but I don't want to just buy one of anybody. I don't really, I mean, they're great players, but not somebody that I collect or really would want it anyway. So it was kind of maybe like less than 15 minutes later, I happened upon a table and he had a bunch of different, not anything super rare, but a bunch of different Griffey inserts and stuff from the 90s. So I thought it was almost serendipitous. I was thinking about it, and then less than 15 minutes later I found this card. And this one might be the one card that I feel like I probably paid up a lot for. I'll say this one was stickered at $300. I actually, once I was on the Wi-Fi, which I know a lot of people said about the trouble with cell service, and the cell service I had more problems with. Whenever I try and call anybody there, I usually couldn't get through. It would take a few different tries, but once I was on the Wi-Fi from there, I had pretty decent luck. So I was able to look up and saw on the high side, I think the highest sale recently was like $256 maybe for this. So but a big problem with these is the yellowing, which I couldn't see any of at all, because I mean, this card, well, Bill described it, it's pretty much just pure 90s. It's acetate, it's die cut, it's embossed. You can see Griffey himself is embossed there, and then has like the atomic cracked ice look. So it doesn't get more 90s than that. So to be able to see it in person and see that it wasn't yellowed, and I threw out an offer of $250 and he accepted it. And like I said, it might be the one deal that I probably bought on the high side, but still very happy with. It's a great looking card. So leave that up while like I said, when I talked to Bill, I introduced myself and I immediately said, I need to pick your brain on something if you don't mind. So I showed him the Stan Musial card I picked up, and I had briefly seen, and he had seen, there was one somebody had at a booth for $900, and he assumed that's the one that I bought. And he said, "Oh, I saw that." And I said, "I think this is a different one than you saw." And I told him what I paid for it, and he couldn't believe it. So that's what my suspicions were confirmed, that I did very well with that card. Said that was probably at least 10x of what I paid on the $50, and definitely don't take less than like $300 for it. So that takes me into the next day, and I'm actually going to show well, actually, I'll talk first. The first thing I wanted to do then was, because I wanted a Musial autograph, but I didn't need anything that was rare or that valuable. So my plan was to try and sell that card, and then pick up another Musial autograph for in the $50 to $100 range, and then just see what else I could find with that money. So I went to one table, I got an offer of $350 on it. So well, I'll keep that in mind. That's a pretty decent offer. So I went to the table, the guy that had the one for $900, and I basically said, "Hey, do you want another one of these?" So we worked out a deal, and I got $500 for that card, which I wasn't going to argue with. A 10x return in less than 12 hours, basically, or well, less than 18 hours. But so then that was like almost like a new kind of like set the stage for the last day then, to be able to get a little bit more than I thought I was going to. So we'll go to my last pickup, and I really was not looking for this card at all, but I was at a table and the guy had two of these. There was this one, and one, I think it was a 2.5, but it had the miscut qualifier. So he had this stickered at 125, and even for two, I just think there's some print marks and stuff up here, and a crease down in the corner here. But I threw out an offer at $100, and he accepted it. So I definitely don't think I went wrong with this card for $100. So like I said, definitely didn't really have this one on my radar, but my experience, I don't want to get too far into this because I'm already almost at a half hour, but my experience looking around, and that'll go into I actually should have showed this one first, but like I said, as I was looking for some of the bigger card I wanted, we'll leave this up while I talk. Was most tables either had very high-end slabs that were 6, 7s of a lot of these cards from the 50s that were way out of my price range, or there was a lot of raw that, yeah, the condition of it is pretty good, and maybe cards that would grade like a 4, 5, 6, 7, but still what people were asking for stuff raw, and stuff that even maybe would only grade like a 2 or a 3 or less, and what they were asking raw, it really didn't, it made much more sense to me to look for the cards I was looking for in just something like a 1 graded, because it was basically cheaper than raw, and I knew what I was getting for sure. I knew it was authentic and all that. I normally just buy raw cards, just because I usually get more cards that way than paying up for the graded ones. But in this scenario, a lot of the raw I thought were going for a lot more than graded. So once I started getting some of these, I kind of just, my main thing, one, I can get more raw cards than buying graded normally. And two, I like to put everything in a binder and have everything in one spot. But once I kind of got one of these, I figured I might as well just keep going, because now my focus is still going to be raw. But for some of these iconic rookie cards and stuff like that, if the price is right, I feel like I'm not going to pass up getting them in the graded version, just because I know they're authentic. I know the condition is going to be protected and all that. So, but anyway, so I'll go back. Before I sold the Musial autograph, my last pickup Wednesday night, and I had walked around, and this was, Thursday this was, late Thursday I got this card. This was, I'd walked around, and I really was not seeing this card anywhere near the $500, even raw. And that's kind of like almost the high end of what I wanted to pay for my bigger card. So I just wasn't really finding it in that. I saw one for like $725, I think, and I thought, well, maybe I could get them down to $6, but I'm never going to get them down low enough. And I think I eventually, right before I saw this card, I think I saw one in an SGC1, but it was really, really rough. Like, the whole, like, top right quarter of the card was almost completely tore off. I think it was stickered at $500. I think he might have threw a price out at $400 or $450, but even in that, I just wasn't. I usually don't care about condition that much, but for a bigger card like this, and I was hoping I could just find something better, and that one was in my mind. But probably less than a half hour later, I saw this one. So this card, I think, was at a table with mostly modern cards, and I believe was stickered at $500. I think I threw out an offer at $425, and I think he came back at $450, and I accepted it. So there's definite creasing there, but otherwise, and even for a 1, I think the centering, the color, and just the eye appeal of this, I just love this card. This was one I had on my mind the whole time. Like I said, I wanted. And every table that had vintage was basically the first thing I looked at, is if they had one of these. And I did not see as many as I mean, I saw a lot of them, but did not see any in the price range that I was looking for. So as soon as I saw this, I knew this was going to be the one, and it was. So definitely very happy about this. I think it's actually kind of funny, I didn't even realize after I picked up the Killebrew the next day that they're back-to-back cards. So excuse me. It's almost like it was meant to be. So after I moved the Musial card and got some more money in my pocket, and thought, well, I came in here thinking I was gonna get looking for one big card. I think I might be able to get 2 now. So I was looking around at some different autographs. I had already picked up that Griffey card. I always wanted a Ken Griffey Jr. autograph. So I was looking at some of those. I was thinking about replacing a Musial autograph that I sold, and then still getting something else with it. There was 1 or 2 that I saw, but I ultimately figured this won't be as hard to find. There's a lot that I can probably just get on eBay for less than $100, and I'll be happy with that. Just have an autograph of them. So I ultimately stopped looking for that kind of. But I met back up with my buddy Bryn, and we were walking around together, and he actually spotted this one first because he knew I was looking for cards from this set, and I think the seller had a couple of these. The other ones were in higher grades, and this was one I initially had on my mind that I thought would be a candidate for the one of the big cards that I wanted, but I had not been seeing these in any condition, raw or anything, for less than almost like $850. So I immediately kept thinking, well, this one's probably off the list, because I think this is more out of my price range than I thought. But so like I said, Bryn saw this one first and pointed to me. So this one, I think this one was labeled at 450. I think I threw out an offer of 400, and I think it got accepted at 425. So some definite big paper loss there and up in this corner, but not being on the corner with the black, I think, is huge. I think it kind of mixes in with the card and just the overall eye appeal of this. It's hard to, well, there you can see there's a crease going right down the middle too. But I cannot complain about this card at all. A lot of people at the YouTube meetup I showed off my pickups up until Thursday from, and so I got to see the Koufax. This is the first anybody's seeing this, and so I went in hoping for one of these bigger cards, and with a little bit of luck and finding that Musial and moving it, I ended up with two. So definitely did not think in any way that I'd end up with these two cards initially going in, and came home with a little bit of money in my pocket from my original budget. So yeah, I had a good week. So this video is almost at 40 minutes. I wanted to throw a lot more shout outs up for people I met and everything, but I'll have to do that in another video. I would just like to say in this one, a big thank you, like I said, to Bill, the Hall of Fame collector. He helped me out and kind of guided me on what to do with that card, or what I could expect from that card, and that definitely ended up netting me the Jackie Robinson in the end. So thank you for that. It was great meeting you, and want to throw another shout out to Picker Jim S. I met him, saw him Thursday, and went up. I had a few cards to give him and introduced myself, and then afterwards, it was great meeting him. I've been watching his videos for a little bit, and he's been there from the beginning of when I made my videos, and always doesn't just throw a "oh thanks" or a "hey" comment on, like, usually goes into detail and gives some insight, and it's really great commenting back and forth and talking to him on his videos. And I really enjoyed meeting him, and afterwards, and in his recap video, he gave me a shout out, and I've had at least 10 to 15 about 10 new subscribers just of him giving that shout out. So thank you, Jim. That was very much appreciated. And like I said, I always look forward to any new videos, and anytime we get to comment back and forth a little bit in the comments there. So starting to get a little hoarse here. So for this video, I think that's going to be the end of it. Like I said, I had a great week. I'll make another video with more on the experience and just my thoughts, the positives and some negatives, and talk about meeting some more of the people I met and everything like that. But For now, I'll just leave you with these and this here. And I'll just remind everybody that every card can be a great looking card, even if it has 4 soft corners. Thank you.